Hey, good morning. So we're working on area of polygons today, and the first one we're going to look for is the area of a trapezoid, and it says solve for the area. Well, area is always going to say for the big A, and there's your little equal sign, and then we have A plus B. Well, instead of having length times width, we're going to use the words base. And so this bottom piece is going to be your base, and the top piece is going to be your base. The top will come first, and that'll be your little a. Your bottom will be your little b. And we're going to add those two numbers together. So we're going to add the a plus the b. Let's say this is 1 plus 2. It would be 3. And then we're going to divide it by 2. Your height, or your h, is from the bottom of your base to the top part of your base a. And that is going to be multiplied after we find the original base. And the reason being is because you can see it's kind of got like a little triangle action going here. So that's how we're going to find our trapezoid area. So now we're going to write down our formula for a trapezoid, and it's A equals area, or base A plus base B. We divide that by 2, and we multiply all of that by its height. And for this, our top is 6, our bottom base is 8, and when we take 6 plus 8, it becomes 14. We divide that by 2, which equals 7, and 7 times 4 is going to give us our answer. So when we see this in the squares, it's the exact same formula. Our base up here is going to give us 3, 1, 2, 3. Our bottom base, or our B base, is going to give us 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Sorry, we're back. So our bottom base is going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our height will be 1, 2. So when we plug in our formula, we plug in A equals 5 plus 3 divided by 2. Well, 5 plus 3 is going to give us 8, divided by 2 is going to give us 4, and 4 times 2 is going to give us our answer. Okay, let's say that you're doing this and you forget the formula completely, or you see something like this and you freak out. Well, you can still use your common sense and count squares. Whole squares: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we have these two right here that make 2 halves, which would make 12, and 2 halves up here, which would make 13. Okay, so we're on problem number 4, and we're talking about vertices. And whenever we're talking about vertices, if you look right here, here's our y-axis. It goes vertically, and our horizontal is our x. And we always list the x first. So if it says 1 and 2, we would do 1 here, which would be our x, and 2 up. If it says our vertices is going, and vertices, remember, is just the dot. 3 and 1, then that would be where we would go. We would go over 3 and up 1. 4 and 1, 5 and 4. So your vertices are just where the dot is, where the connections are made. And then we could just wrap our bands accordingly and make our shape. Hi, and we're on problem 6. And again, if you see something crazy like this, and you see it and you're like, how do I figure this out? Well, remember, they're always squares. So count your squares first. And this is the easiest way to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then you have your little half squares, or your little triangles, and then you just count them as 1. 14, 2 together makes 1, 15, 16, and count all the way around. Okay, so we're on problem number 7, and when I look at this, this is not a regular shaped pentagon. This is more of a shape of a house, like in the traditional sense when we were kids and we would draw a house. It's just laying on its side. So when I look at this shape, I can see my little rooftop over here. Again, it's laying on its side. But I can think of this piece right here as a rectangle. And when I look at this as a rectangle, I can multiply 12 times 16 and get my area of a rectangle. So over here, we're going to do 12 times 16, and we're going to multiply that out. And then over here, we're going to get the area of our triangle. And again, triangles areas are, you're going to do your base times your height divided by 2. So this would be, the 12 would be our base, our height would be the 6. And we're going to multiply that out, and that would give us 72, and then we're going to divide that by 2, and we're going to add these two numbers together to get our answer. Okay, so this is problem number 8, and it says the grid of an auditorium, the vertices of a section of seats, and remember vertice just means point, of a seat are A is 20 and 30. Well, A, whenever we see the first number, that is going to be our X. So we're going to do 20 and 30. So we go down here and we find, here's our 20, we go over to 20 and we go up to 30, and that's going to be our first plot. And then the second plot would be 20 and 60. So again, you stay right here, the first number is 20, and you go up to the 60, and you plot it right there. Continue. So problem 9 is for your trapezoid. And again, our trapezoid is area equals our A base, which is 8, plus our B base, which is 20, divided by 2, and multiplied by the 10. So again, area for a trapezoid is A equals the top base plus the bottom base divided by 2 and multiplied by the height. So here we have 8 plus 20 divided by 2 times 10. So 8 plus 20 is going to give us 28, and we're going to divide that by 2, which is going to give us 14, and 14 times 10 is going to give us our answer. So what we do is when we take our 10 and our 14, we multiply that together, it's going to come up with 140. Now we have to look back to the original problem and see what it's actually asking us. That's our area of that shape. Now let's find out what the question was. The population of this trapezoid-shaped region shown is about 7,000 people. About how many people are there per square mile? So we found out that there was 140 is our base here, or our area of this shape, and there's 7,000 people living here. So how many people are there per square mile? So now we have to do some division. We have to take our 140 and divide it into the amount of people to find out how many people live per square mile. So when we go into 140, it doesn't work for the 7, it doesn't work for the 0. We have to go all the way over here. Sorry, flipping back and forth like this is hard because I'm not always able to see the screen and I can't intercept it, so I wrote down the number wrong. I was like, why is this not working? Okay, 140 into 700 is going to go 5 times. And then we're just going to bring down our 0, and it's going to be 50 people per square feet. Or, yeah, per square. Okay, so we're back. We're on problem 10. And this is one of the reasons why we kind of pulled off a Big Ideas Math, because of problems like this. There's going to be so many steps and so many turns and so many twists, but we're going to start out really simple. We're going to cut this piece into half. So the first half we're going to do is we're going to do this rectangle right down here, which when you look at this side right here, it says 10, and when you look at this side right here, it says 20. So we're just going to cut that piece out right there. And if we look at this piece right here is 10 and times 20, we could just do 2, and we count our zeros, and there's 2 zeros, so that's going to be 200. Now we're going to have to add the other portions of this to it. I apologize, it's kind of hard to draw on this with my finger, so I've done a very terrible job. But basically we have our base down here, which is the 200. Now we're going to try to add together this very strange shape up here. And so when we do that, we take our base, which is not exactly, it kind of goes like that a little bit. It's a kind of a very irregular shape. And so it's kind of when you first look at it, you think, oh my gosh, we're never going to be able to do this problem. But we're just going to take it piece by piece. So the next part that we're going to do is we're going to multiply and figure out what this is right here. Okay, so we know that this was 10. And when we look at this side right here, we know that this is 15 and this little piece up here is 10. Well, if I go right across here, this is going to be 10. And if this whole area is 15, so I take my 10 and I subtract my 5 from it, and that's going to give me, excuse me, I subtract my 10 from it, and that's going to give me that 5. So this little piece right here is going to give me 5 plus the 10 that's already there. Now remember, we're going to have to subtract this area back out later because that area is actually not part of the side of the house. So we're going to go 15 and 10, and we're going to do our two bases. So we're going to just pretend this is a trapezoid. So we have our top base, which is 12, our bottom base, which is 20. So we add our 12 and our 20. We're going to divide that by 2, and we're going to multiply that by half, or excuse me, by our height, which is 15. So 12 plus 20 is going to give us 32. Divided by 2 is going to give us 16, and 16 times 15. So we're going to multiply our 16 times our 15. And 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5, 6, 7, 8, 80. We put our 0, and then we add our 16, and we have our 240. Now we have a problem because we did not subtract out this area right here. And this is not a square, it's a triangle. And the formula for triangles, let me pause this for a second so I can clean this up, is height times width divided by 2. So our height and width, when we multiply them together, is going to be 120 because we're just going to add our 0. We're going to divide it by 2, and that's going to give us 60. And we have to subtract this area back out from here. So we take away our 60, and that gives us 180. And we add our 180 to our original bottom right there, and that's going to give us our answer. Congratulations, 12 minutes in, and you are done for math today. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of your time. Bye.